Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going deep on financial social work. And it might surprise you to learn just how much our emotions and money are kind of like intertwined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's a field that really goes way beyond like your typical budgeting advice. It digs deep into how things like, past experiences and even trauma can really shape how we behave with our finances.
It's not something you typically think about, right?
No, not at all.
Like how something that happened when you were a kid could influence, your money management as an adult.
Right, exactly. And one of the core ideas here is that our relationship with money stems from a mix of personal and psychological and social factors. We call this the biopsychosocial lens. So,
Mm.
imagine someone who grew up watching their parents struggle with debt. Maybe they might develop some anxiety around spending or even be afraid to, check their bank balance.
Oh yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like inheriting a money mindset.
Yeah, you could say that.
So how do social workers actually use this lens in practice?
Well, they go beyond just the surface level stuff, like let's say a client is struggling with overspending. A financial social worker wouldn't just hand them a budget and say good luck. They'd really try to understand, those deeper emotions that are driving that behavior. So maybe it's a way of coping with stress, or maybe they're trying to, fill some kind of emotional void.
Wow, so it's a totally different approach than just saying, hey, here's
Yep.
how to track your spending.
Exactly. It's about getting to the root of the issue, not just treating the symptoms, and it can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
One of the panelists shared a story about a client who was constantly in debt. And, through therapy, they uncovered that this overspending stemmed from a deep fear of scarcity, like rooted in their experience with poverty as a child.
Wow, that must have been a really powerful realization for them.
It was.
So it's more than just practical money management skills. It's about uncovering those hidden emotional connections.
Yeah, precisely. And once those connections are brought to light, that's when real change can occur. This approach really recognizes that finances are deeply personal and intertwined with our values, our relationships, even our sense of security.
It makes you realize that money conversations are, they're loaded with so much more than just dollars and cents.
Oh, absolutely. Like, think about couples and money arguments about finances are one of the biggest sources of conflict in relationships.
Oh, for sure.
A financial social worker can actually help partners understand their individual money styles, and then help them create a shared approach that works for both of them.
I bet that's valuable.
That is.
It's like learning to speak each other's financial language.
Right.
But what about those tougher situations, where someone's past trauma might be impacting their financial well-being? Can financial social work help there too?
Oh, absolutely. It plays a vital role in helping survivors of trauma, navigate those financial challenges they might be facing. Trauma can have a significant impact on someone's relationship with money. For example, someone who has experienced financial abuse might have difficulty trusting financial institutions or even struggle with just basic budgeting.
So how does financial social work address that?
Well, by acknowledging the link between trauma and finances and creating a safe space for healing, it recognizes that financial stress can be a major trigger for trauma survivors. And so social workers might use trauma-informed practices to help clients rebuild their sense of safety and control around money.
It sounds like it takes a special kind of sensitivity to work in this field.
It does.
And it's not just about working with individual clients, is it? Financial social work also tackles those bigger systemic issues like poverty and financial inequality.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How does financial social work address those larger systemic problems?
It's about recognizing that those individual struggles are often tied to like these bigger societal issues.
Yeah.
Things like the lack of access to affordable housing or healthcare or even just quality education that can really trap people in a cycle of financial instability.
So it's not just about teaching people how to budget. It's about advocating for policies that, create a more level playing field.
Exactly. Financial social workers might work to change policies that perpetuate financial inequality.
Yeah.
Advocating for things like a living wage or affordable childcare or access to financial counseling services.
That's powerful. It's taking that holistic view, recognizing that individual financial well-being is so connected to the well-being of the whole community.
Yeah, and it's about empowering people to advocate for themselves. Like, social workers might help clients understand their rights as consumers or tenants, and guide them in navigating those complex financial systems.
It's like giving people the tools and knowledge to break free from, those systemic traps that could be holding them back.
Precisely. And it can be incredibly effective. The panelists shared some amazing stories about clients who were able to advocate for themselves and improve their situations and even inspire others to do the same.
That's great. So we've talked about how this approach helps individuals and tackles those larger societal issues, but let's bring it back to the social workers themselves for a minute. It must take a lot of courage to, delve into such sensitive and personal topics with clients.
Absolutely. And one of the key takeaways from the panel discussion was that social workers really need to be mindful of their own relationship with money.
You mean they need to have their own finances in order before they can help others?
Well, it's more than just that. It's about recognizing that everyone, even social workers, has their own, money baggage, their own set of beliefs and experiences that shape their financial behaviors.
I can see how that would be essential. If you're carrying around your own financial anxiety, it maybe might be hard to create that safe space for clients to really open up.
Exactly. The panelists really stressed the importance of self-reflection, acknowledging any discomfort or biases they might have around money.
That makes a lot of sense. You can't really help someone navigate their financial journey if you haven't explored your own right.
Right. And it's not about being a financial expert. It's about being comfortable discussing money matters and being willing to seek out resources when needed.
So how do social workers become more comfortable with these conversations? The panelists mentioned some resources, right?
They did. And one that stood out was the idea of, seeking continuing education. There are so many workshops and training programs and even certifications specifically focused on financial social work.
So they can really deepen their knowledge and build their confidence in addressing these issues with clients.
Exactly. And there are also some great online communities like the Financial Social Work Collaborative where social workers can connect and share experiences and support each other.
It sounds like there's a real movement happening in this field.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to see so many people passionate about, bringing financial well-being to the forefront of social work practice.
It is, and the impact is undeniable. Financial social work is changing lives not just by improving individual financial situations, but by shifting that whole conversation around money and its connection to well-being.
So what does all of this mean for our listener? What can they take away from this deep dive into the world of financial social work?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that our relationship with money is much more complex than we realize. It's not just about the numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about understanding those emotional, psychological, social factors that are influencing our financial behaviors.
It's a good reminder that financial well-being is connected to every other aspect of our lives, our mental health, our relationships, even our sense of belonging in the world.
Absolutely. And it's something we can all explore, no matter what our profession is or our background is. Taking the time to understand your own money story can be incredibly empowering.
It's about becoming aware of those, those ingrained beliefs and patterns that might be holding us back.
And it's about recognizing that you're not alone in this. Financial struggles are so common, and there's no shame in seeking help.
It's true. There's often so much shame around struggling financially that it can keep people from reaching out for help.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where financial social work can be really helpful. It offers a really compassionate and non-judgmental approach to addressing these challenges.
It's like a lifeline to those who feel like they're drowning in financial stress.
I like that analogy. And It's not just about rescuing individuals. It's about, building a world where everybody has the opportunity to thrive financially.
A world where financial well-being is a right, not just a privilege.
Right, exactly. And that's a vision worth fighting for.
Absolutely. So if our listener is feeling inspired and wants to dig a little deeper, what resources would you recommend?
Well, we've talked about the Financial Social Work Collaborative. That's a great place to connect with other professionals and find some really helpful resources.
Yeah, and those continuing education opportunities that you mentioned earlier, those can really help social workers deepen their knowledge and skills.
Exactly. And don't underestimate just, educating yourself. There are tons of books, articles, and podcasts out there that explore this intersection of finances and well-being.
Yeah, it's about becoming a more informed consumer of financial information and really thinking critically about how money impacts our lives and the lives of, the people around us.
I think that's a perfect takeaway.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power of financial social work and, its potential to create a more just and equitable world.
It's been great exploring this with you.
And to our listener, we hope you continue to explore this topic as well. Remember, financial well-being is definitely within your reach. And by understanding, the emotional and psychological side of money, you can empower yourself and others to create a brighter financial future.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.